get to it. Why are the Dead Sea Scrolls important? For the average viewer, the average believer, why are they so vital?
The Dead Sea Scrolls are very, very important for two basic reasons. One of them is that we have over 200 scrolls that are of the Bible themselves. 38 of the 39 biblical books are now represented among the Dead Sea Scrolls. And it was alluded to earlier in the program that these scrolls show that the Bible we have today, and when I say Bible, I'm referring to what we call the Old Testament, that the Bible we have today very accurately reflects the original. And so we can leap back in time more than 1,000 years from our oldest Bible, which dated to around AD 1000. Now we go back all the way to the 1st century BC, and guess what? It's the same Bible. The second reason the scrolls are very important is because they shed light on Jesus and His world. And many scrolls help us understand better Jesus' teaching, the teaching of the Apostle Paul, and other teachings we find in the New Testament. So those are the main reasons that the scrolls, from a Christian point of view, are very important.
Now, there's no reference in the scrolls to Jesus Himself.
No. The scrolls do not refer to Jesus or to any Christian.
But there is a view that his cousin John the Baptist as we know him, may have been significantly influenced by the Essene community, these sectarian holy men who had this little community down in Qumran.
That's a possibility. There are several interesting parallels between John the Baptist, his being out in the wilderness, his reference to Isaiah 40 verse 3, prepare the way of the Lord in the wilderness, his strange, very strict diet. There are various reasons for thinking that John may have had, at some point in his life, association with the Essenes. However, the John we encounter in the Gospels, who invites sinners to come to him to the Jordan River and be baptized, that's so out of step with the Essene perspective that our assumption is, if John had been connected to the Essenes at some time in his life, he certainly was not by the time we find him in the Gospels preaching and baptizing.
Essenes is E-S-S-E-N-E-S. Who were these guys?
Well, that's an interesting question. We think that they were a priestly group, at least their leadership. They broke away from the aristocratic priestly leadership of Jerusalem, probably in the 2nd century, over a dispute as to how worship should take place, issues of calendar, but also, I think, issues of who is eligible to be the high priest. And so they regarded themselves as descendants of Zadok, and Zadok was the priestly family put in power by King David and his son Solomon. Well, there were non-Zadokite priests in Jerusalem, and so this Zadokite group, we think, began the Essene movement.
And they had this view that the cities were polluted spiritually, and the desert was relatively pure, right?
That's right.
And so they had to flee the impurity of the city, also the impurity of women. Right?
Oh yeah, this was kind of a celibate, man's-only club, that's right.
Yeah, not much has changed. And there is some debate as to whether or not they even existed. How do you feel about that?
Oh, that came up very recently, someone claiming that the Essenes never existed. The whole thing is made up by the 1st century historian Josephus. Right. The trouble is that a person a generation earlier named Philo, another Jew who lived in Alexandria, he knows about the Essenes also, and others refer to the Essenes. I don't think this is a fictional group. Josephus tells us about the Pharisees. Did they exist? Yes. He tells us about the Sadducees. They existed. Well, he also tells us about the Essenes. Is he making this up? I don't think so.
The scholars who were dissing or suggesting that the text could be corrupt because our earliest text was about 900 AD or 1000 AD, the Masoretic text, did they apologize after the Dead Sea Scrolls were discovered?
I don't think I've ever heard a scholar apologize. No, I think they just kind of quietly say, well, you know, I hold a different views now.
Like for example, you take Isaiah 53. You're now able to go back 1,000 years and see whether or not the Masoretic version was accurate or not. And apart from a few little punctuation things and maybe a few spelling things,
that's right.
No difference.
Yeah, that's right. Psalm 22 talks about the suffering person in the psalm whose hands and feet are pierced.
Right.
Well, it doesn't read that way in the Masoretic text. This must be some kind of a Christian thing. Well, guess what? Psalm 22 turned up in the Dead Sea Scrolls, and the hands and feet are pierced. What do you know?
Oh. So what's new in the area? More scrolls are being not discovered, but sort of uncovered, or
here's an interesting story. Just 2 months ago, it was announced. I noticed I said 38 of the 39. It used to be 37 of the 39 Old Testament books. Well, it's now 38. Nehemiah has been found, a small fragment, just announced 2 months ago. I guess it was in the saddlebags of some Bedouin. There are still a few fragments floating around in private possession, and occasionally they come to light. And that's the cloak and dagger stuff that is still going on.
Yeah. And just quickly, that ossuary, that box, that purportedly was from Jesus or James. Was it James?
That's right.
James family. It turns out it was a fake.
No, it wasn't a fake.
Wasn't a fake.
No, it was alleged to be tampered with, but I've been following the court case in Israel for the past 4 years.
So what's up with it?
Well, the patina, that's how they can tell, is this inscription where these names are found, are they really ancient? Well, the patina turns out to be present, and it really is ancient. It says James, son of Joseph, brother of Jesus, and it looks like it's an authentic inscription. That's still being debated, still before the courts. Fake? I don't think so.
A lot of Jesuses in those days.
Lots of Jesuses and lots of Jameses and lots of Josephs.
Yeah, so I mean, it's a big leap from that, even if it's authentic.
Well, that's true. That's true, and that's the same question with the Talpia tomb, and I think it's completely implausible that it was made, 2 years ago, that, we found the tomb now of Jesus and his family, including his wife and son and everything else. Well, I don't think so. These names are very, very common, and so you may find something, it may be authentic, but the identification is a whole nother matter.
Well, I think what we need to do is just, we won't carry on this topic necessarily tomorrow, but you're coming back tomorrow. And
yes, look forward to it.
The conversation will continue with Dr. Craig Evans. Christian Beginnings in the Dead Sea Scrolls. If you have an inclination to getting into something in depth, this is the book. Certainly this topic is of great interest to anybody who wants to know more about the historicity of the faith. It's something that is current, it's relevant, and as recent as the last 2 months, Nehemiah coming our way, at least a fragment thereof. Thanks for coming.